What's up, everybody? Nate here from Out of the Basement, bringing you a brand new action figure review. Today from McFarlane Toys, we are taking a look at the DC Multiverse AZRAEL in Batman armor. This is from Batman Curse of the White Knight, a storyline which I have yet to read, although since recording my last review of the original AZRAEL figure, I have read Batman White Knight, and that was a fantastic comic book. I highly recommend any Batman fan out there check it out. So here we go. Here is an updated AZRAEL in the Batman costume. Of course, most of us were originally introduced to this character in the Batman Nightfall storyline once he takes over the role after Bane breaks the Dark Knight's back. Jean-Paul Valley takes over, and that is a pretty awesome storyline, pretty iconic one, along with the AZRAEL Batman costume from way back when. I'd love to see McFarlane do a figure of that costume as well, but this is the new updated version. You can see the nice window package here. On the side of the box here, it says AZRAEL Batman armor from Batman Curse of the White Knight. On the back, you have a really nice image from the actual comic book with the flaming sword and everything. That's super awesome. Here is some other pictures of DC figures. Most of these are the Dark Knight medals that I believe are currently Walmart exclusives, and the original AZRAEL figure right in the middle. On the bottom of the box, not a whole lot going on. On the side of the box, again, nothing really. On the top, of course, not a whole lot. Super excited to take this guy out of the package, so of course we're going to take him out. We'll take a look at his one accessory and then the figure itself. And for accessories here, AZRAEL comes with his sword. No flame effect this time around, but it is still the same sculpt. It actually has slightly different paint apps. This is the original flaming sword, and then the new one, you can see on the new one, it's a much more darker style of gold. I think it looks just a little bit better. In my opinion, it looks a little bit more realistic. But of course, you could swap the flame effects between the two, or you could swap the swords, but it still has the same great detail there with the figure on the cross there. Some nice red plastic. The gold paint does look really nice, and the silver paint looks great as well for the blade. So no complaints there with the sword. Now let's go ahead and take a look at AZRAEL. Alright, and here is AZRAEL Batman out of the packaging, looking absolutely fantastic in this new updated black and gold costume. You can see he's got tons of sculpted details on the figure. Not a whole lot of paint this time around, but that's okay. It looks pretty accurate overall to the design from the comic book, and of course my knowledge about that is what's on the back of the box for this figure. Of course, you can see here we have a very nice sculpted soft plastic cape. Of course, just like with every McFarlane figure, I wish it was cloth, but clearly Todd does not like cloth goods capes. He seems pretty resistant to the idea, but this one in particular is a pretty nice neutral sculpt. I'm pretty happy about that. And of course, you can see he does have some minor warping there from being in the package, which is nothing a little bit of hair drying can't fix. But I was just too lazy to do that before the review. So let's go ahead, take him off the stand, and get a closer look. All right, and up close and personal, you can see all of these wonderful sculpted details in the actual costume. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of paint going around on this guy, but what is there is actually pretty clean and looks very nice. I specifically really love the design of the mask here. He's got some nice red subtle eyes there, buried deep within the mask, but it looks really good. It's a really nice updated design for AZRAEL in the Batman armor. The Bat logo looks great. It has some really nice gold paint on it, and it is a separate sculpted detail just like the other Batmen. These shoulder pads are nice and bulky and have a really nice gold trim to them. The actual chest of the figure, again, has that really nice subtle gold detail that just really pops out on the figure. Really cleanly painted for the most part. Here is his gauntlet. It's got some nice gold details on it. Little bit of silver there for the arm blades, and this hand is a gripping hand, which looks very nice. Feel like the silver details there for the fingers are awesome. And then over here we have more of an open hand, which again looks great. And I believe AZRAEL uses a gun, at least in the red costume. I'm not sure if he does when he is Batman, but that is kind of like a trigger finger deal there. But moving onward, again, more really awesome details. Love this little utility belt band around the leg. It's very reminiscent of the Dark Knight Returns, which is of course legendary storyline. But moving down, you can see the details continue all the way throughout the figure there. Nice little sculpt work all the way through, and I think the details of this figure are absolutely fantastic. However, on the back of the package here, you can see that he has some little leg blade thingies there that are not actually on the figure itself. So as far as costume accuracy goes, I think that's the only thing that I've really noticed between looking at that back picture and the figure itself. And while it's very minor, it still should be pointed out because it is not 100% accurate. Otherwise, the details are fantastic. McFarlane keeps getting better and better with the details on these figures. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation. Okay, so for articulation, Asbats can look up just about that far, and he can look down a little bit as well. The head, of course, moves side to side, but it is somewhat restricted by the collar there for the costume. But you can still get a pretty decent range out of that, and you do get some attitude there as well, which is very nice. These shoulder pads are both on separate ball joints, so that is great. You can get pretty awesome range out of these shoulders there due to the cooperation of the shoulder pads. Of course, the arms can't rotate that far. You can only go up about that much because of the shoulder pad there. But you do get a butterfly joint there as well, and some bicep swivel that doesn't really want to cooperate, but it is there. Of course, you also get a single jointed elbow that gives you a little bit less than 90 degrees, which is definitely a bummer, but the arm is so big, it's so bulky. The design of the costume really doesn't allow for a whole lot of extra movement. For the ab crunch, he can go just a little bit forward, but he can go pretty far back. He also rotates right there and then rotates at the lower waist as well. So you can get some pretty decent swivel out of him, but the ab crunch is definitely limited. Before I get too far away from it, of course, both hands can rotate around, and they are the McFarlane joints, so you can either make them up or down, or if you pinch them real nice, you can turn them horizontal. He can kick out about that far. You can get it to go a little bit further, but I wouldn't try too much beyond that. The double jointed knee works pretty well. You do get a small amount of thigh swivel, and the feet, they can move down just a little bit, move up, not so much, and you do get a very minuscule amount of ankle pivot, and you do get the toe hinge as well. So the articulation is about what you would expect from McFarlane at this point. It's the 22-point system, and it works pretty well, although he does not move nearly as well as the original AZRAEL figure, but it's good enough. Anyways, now that we've seen the details and the articulation, we're going to go ahead and compare him to some other figures. All right, and first up, here he is with the original Curse of the White Knight AZRAEL and the White Knight Batman. And I really like the height difference between all three of them. Good sense of scale. Seems like McFarlane is actually making an effort there. Here he is with the Arkham Asylum Batman and the Joker, then with Nightwing and the Bat Armor, then with the NECA Superman and the Armored Batman, and finally with the Mattel Dark Knight Wonder Woman and the comic book Alfred. So, in conclusion, I really do enjoy this figure. Of course, he moves about as well as you'd expect, but he does look absolutely awesome. The details and the small amount of paintwork that are on the figure are absolutely wonderful, and adding that flame effect on the sword from the other AZRAEL figure just makes him look that much better. Of course, I do think he should have come with the flame effect for the sword in the first place, considering that they especially used a picture of him with the flaming sword. Seems a little bit odd to not include the effect piece. But other than that, I think this figure is an easy pickup. It's a really... Dang it. He is also a little top heavy. His legs could stand to be a little bit beefier, in my opinion, just so that he would not fall over constantly. So getting him into any dynamic poses, unfortunately, seems kind of unlikely. Just because those legs are so dang tiny. But other than that, I think the figure is a really nice representation of this costume. He's gonna look great even if you just have him vanilla posed on the shelf. He's big and imposing, which is exactly what I was looking for. And yeah, I think McFarlane continues to get better and better with each new wave of the DC Multiverse figures. I'm really excited for what they've got coming in the future. And this figure just proves that they are continuously improving on their work. So I'm happy to say that this AZRAEL figure is pretty awesome. Pick it up if you find it in stores. Of course, if you enjoyed my review, don't forget to leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. We're always talking about action figures here on the channel. Of course, I'm Nate from Out of the Basement. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.